The European Union also hit Moscow with new sanctions, including bans on Russian energy sector investment, luxury goods exports to Russia, and imports of steel products from Russia. This is as Japan's Prime Minister Fumio Kishida says the country will revoke Russia's most favored nation, the trade status, in a news conference today. Now let's get more insight into what is happening between Ukraine, Russia, and the United States. We'll be speaking with the global affairs analyst Calvin Dark, who is joining me live from Morocco via Zoom. Thank you so much for joining us on World Now. What's talking about the sanctions that Russia actually imposed on US, the travel ban and all that. What's Putin planning to achieve with these sanctions? Is this a diplomatic joke or something?
Well, I think that, first of all, just to recognize that the list of people and the sanctions themselves aren't really going to have an actual effect here, as in the press secretary for the White House clarified yesterday that nobody on the list has any bank accounts in Russia or plans on visiting Russia anytime soon, so it's not like it'll have an exact effect. But let's talk about what they really do. And I kind of came up with two things. The first is we don't know exactly how these sanctions are being portrayed in Russia. That's to say that because the media is so closed, this may be portrayed in Russia as having a huge effect on some of the most powerful political people in the United States. That's one thing. Second thing is, let's roll it back to 2016, when, of course, in the United States, everyone talked about Putin's influence in the 2016 election. But if you really look at what Russia was trying to do, it wasn't so much for one party or one person over the other. It was to sow discord in our system. And those sanctions do this as well. If you'll note, for example, Hillary Clinton, who hasn't been in a position of political power for, I think, almost 9 years, was listed. Not even her husband, who was an actual president of the United States. These are the things that U.S. media are talking about because we're wondering why Hillary Clinton was on there, but not one single Republican. So in that way, Putin is accomplishing the goal he's had as kind of sowing discord in the U.S. political system.
Well, the foreign ministry also warned Moscow will soon announce additional sanctions against a range of Russophobic U.S. officials, military officers, legislators, businessmen, and even media personalities. With these sweeping sanctions, does it really mean Americans in their entirety are banned from entering Russia?
No, and that was one of the other curious things about the sanctions, because even with the issuance of the sanctions, there was still the clarification that if any of these high-level people, for example, needed to come to Russia for whatever reason, I don't think they're going, but if they had to, or if they had to interact or engage with the official Russian government over this scandal, that they could, on a case-by-case basis. So I think this was a purely political, purely propaganda move from Putin that won't really have any actual effect other than the propaganda shock value.
Well, we're trying to be breezy with our conversation quickly, but before I let you go, there is this recent killing of an American journalist and fierce attacks on individuals in Ukraine, causing serious humanitarian crises, and a bombing of a military base near Polish border. And then NATO is currently training troops in Norway. Is it possible that this war will escalate beyond Ukraine?
Well, I think that that's the one thing that European powers, the United States definitely doesn't want. And as one of the things that Ukraine and President Zelensky wants are more military reinforcements, either the no-fly zone or other military equipment. I think that what we can say for sure now is that's not what's wanted. But at some point, if Putin doesn't draw back and this continues, everybody, Ukraine, European powers, and the United States will have to reevaluate exactly what the limits of their engagement and commitment are.
Well, that's there you have it. Thank you very kindly for your insight, global affairs analyst Calvin Dark. Thank you so much.
Thank you.